So work out yourself which fief is the most valuable to your opponent. So just go to someone and basically be like, hey, would you like to trade, would you like to trade this particular fief? And then see how much bargaining power that fief is going to give you. And if it gives you a significant amount, then you probably want to remove a lot of the units from the garrison itself. Hello and welcome back to our Sturgian Viking. Now, we are now at war against the Brigands, and we are going to be also... oh dear, no! Why are you doing this? Yeah, no, well, apparently Oleg is definitely in favor of this. This is kind of strange, but anyway, there you go. We have a total combat strength of 12,700, which is actually pretty good. Now, I think there's a reason for that. I have been doing quite a bit of off-screen, nothing too dramatic. Don't worry, you haven't missed anything too amazing here or there. I've basically just been running interference, taking a couple of castles, and now I haven't been actually going into them. I've just been auto-resolving against very weakly defended castles, and that's pretty much it. And as I say, running interference, that is extremely important. I have found that is probably one of the most important things one can do as a vassal of a faction that may very well have some difficulties in the early game. And, well, as we know, the Sturgians definitely have some problems with winning and indeed just even staying alive, even just surviving the early game is very difficult for them. But thankfully we have been able to sort of stabilize their position in this area, and as a result they have become quite strong. However, I'm not entirely sure how that is even working. Now, I'm taking Utherlame Castle for the third time. I think this is actually the third time. But yes, I'm just going to be auto-resolving this because, frankly, I am sick of Utherlame Castle. Thank you very much. I don't really want to be, taking it again and again and again. It's just too much. Thank you very much. Okay, there's another auto-resolve there. That is perfectly fine. And we basically lose extremely minimal amounts of units in auto-resolves nowadays because most of the time I will either outnumber the opponent, or I will just have better units than the enemy, and that is of course a significant bonus. Now, I'm actually wondering whether I should literally just take Utherlame Castle for myself, because it seems like Utherlame Castle is somewhere that continually gets targeted by the opponent, and it would be quite nice to try to increase its security by a significant margin so we actually don't have to worry about it any further. Because Utherlame Castle, according to some of you in the comments as well, is somewhere that you indeed lag to, which is actually quite interesting to me because I have no idea why it causes that, but apparently for most people that actually go into the siege, it does cause you to also have frame rate problems. And so as a result, I really want to try and avoid going in there manually if I can ever again. So we'll see how that goes, but otherwise I do have a number of people that I'd like to chase down here. Oh yeah, you may also notice my money situation has exploded. Now there's a reason for that as well. I had a huge amount of loot in my inventory, if you recall, and now, well, if I go to my clothes here, you can see that it's basically negligible. Look at that, literally nothing left, because I thankfully was at peace with the Brigands, and so because the Brigands have a very tightly packed center of towns, I basically just went like this. I went Sionen, Maranath, Dunglanis, Caerban Seth, and then I think I made a swing around and just went to Varyag again, and then I went to Sionen, and then I went to Maranath, and so on and so forth. And I basically just went around in a rotation and just kept selling my inventory as much as I could. And that was very effective for the most part. That actually did get me a good amount of cash. As you can no doubt see, we have a decent amount, and I again did not use smithing at all. No smithing was used in me gaining this amount of cash. It was just purely from battle loot. And that's it, which is actually kind of fantastic in itself too. It really does sell for a lot. Now, we do have to be very careful here as well. If you have noticed, there is a lot of activity going on here. I need to try and murder as many vassals as I can, and I'm going to actually show you. I've been placing most of the vassals that I've defeated in my nearby garrison, so I need to show you that in just a second. Ah, well, that's really nice. Brotherhood of the Woods has made a contact, or shall I say contract, to fight with the Sturgians. That's always nice to see. And otherwise, what we want to do is go to the dungeon here. As you can see, I have 22 prisoners in here. I think I've placed a number of them in here, and I also placed a couple in Macedon Castle as well. Amusingly enough, both of these castles seem to be the best defended for me specifically, because once we kind of consolidated this territory here with Epicrotia, Mekalovia, and maybe to a smaller extent Gersagos Castle as well, we were able to basically fortify it and make it almost impenetrable to many enemies coming through. And if they did come through, well, you could just assume that I would murder them as fast as I possibly could. So here you go. This is the amount of people that I've taken prisoner, including Dirthart, if you can believe it. Now, Dirthart was running around with an army that was not that significant, and I was able to auto-resolve against him. He had about 200 units, and I auto-resolved against him and literally had losses of about 20, and that's it. Very simple to replace 20 units. Otherwise, as you can see on the left side here, these are all of the vassals that I've been able to capture in my off-screen time as well, and Aldrich still has that bug. Someone told me that I should save and reload. Well, I don't know whether you know, but I don't actually record multiple episodes in one sitting. I just record the one and then I'll edit it and then so on and so forth. You know, you don't need to know all those details, but the point is I do save and reload every single time. I don't leave the game on the whole time. Even though my rapidly increasing game time is potential cause for worry. Yes, a potential cause for worry. Anyway, let's go into the dungeon here. Oh, there are no prisoners here? What? Did someone get rid of all my prisoners from Macedon Castle? Maybe they indeed did, which would have been kind of shocking. That would be pretty bad, actually, for them to release all of those. There were about 10 in there, maybe 15. I'm actually not entirely sure. Oh, yeah, as you can see, these guys are escaping from captivity now as well. I don't believe there are any buildings or structures available that give you the ability to more, shall we say, adequately prevent enemies from escaping. Anyway, we're going to ransom Asta back here for 4,600. Just such a cheap price, absolutely hugely cheap price there, and we are now going to be attempting to take this. I do have 35 wounded, which is a bit of an unfortunate number, but hopefully they're going to rectify themselves as we go forward here. I'm going to increase my engineering skill once again. I'm actually wondering whether I should start to increase my cunning, because scouting and tactics, while they actually don't do anything in terms of traits, at least for me at the moment with my current game version, unless, as I've said in the past, my True Perks mod fixes some of these things. Not entirely sure if it does. But anyway, these traits are basically not going to do much for me. So me leveling up cunning at this point is probably not going to make that much difference. But as a result of me wanting to get trade skill leveled up, we're actually almost there. I'm just going to get social in 10, and hopefully that's going to be kind of nice for us, because what I would like to do is try, because obviously if you haven't seen the trader series, then you won't know, if you haven't played the game or if you haven't made a trader character or anything like that, then you won't know what everything has a price is capable of doing. And they might have actually revamped some of the mechanics surrounding it. And personally, I feel like everything has a price is one of the most fun traits in the game. And it's not one of those boring ones. And I mean, yeah, okay. So there has to be some boring traits. They can't all be extremely unique and exciting and change how the game is played fundamentally. There just cannot be those kinds of traits in every single skill tree on every single level. That's just not going to work. However, everything has a price is so cool in the way that it interacts with the game on a meta level that you just You'll see. You'll see. It's just really, really great. And I personally feel like it's probably one of the best traits that they have added to the game. I know I have said in the past that it does increase your power by a very significant amount. And yeah, that is true. It is true. It does imbalance the game a little bit. And it makes things a little bit easier. However, you do need a lot of money to be able to make it work. Because if you don't have the money or the funds or the trade power, you know, so if you don't have a fief of your very own to trade or anything like that, then of course it's not really going to help you that much. However, if you have something like that, so if you have a lot of money, or if you have some fiefs to trade or something like that, then you're going to be in a fantastic position, an absolutely fantastic position. But you got to be very careful though, because if you do end up trading one of your fiefs, you need to make sure that it's not a fief that has a significant amount of defenses. So what I'd recommend is, if you are going to make a trader character, or if you have one already, you need to be very careful with using everything has a price to trade away one of your castles. Because, for example, if I were to trade away Cranarog Castle right now, what do you think is going to happen? I have a lot of defenders in there. I have about... I'm actually not entirely sure how many I have. I think I have 550 in there, not of my own units, by the way. That is mostly militia, and then a couple of my units in the garrison itself. And now that's the thing. You need to be careful with how many units you put in as defenders, especially if you're going to trade that fief. So work out yourself which fief is the most valuable to your opponent. So just go to someone and basically be like, hey, would you like to trade, you know, would you like to trade this particular fief? And then see how much bargaining power that fief is going to give you. And if it gives you a significant amount, then you probably want to remove a lot of the units from the garrison itself. Because if indeed it is then traded to one of your enemies, which obviously is most of the time what you're maybe going to try to do to maybe escape a sticky situation, or maybe if you do it in peacetime, then you don't have to worry about that too much. But if indeed that person or that faction decides to attack you at some point in the future, and, you know, your fief is now theirs, you got to be a bit careful. Because if you are fighting your own defenses, which, let's face it, are probably going to be much more powerful than what the AI is going to end up doing, then you're going to be in for a world of hurt, and you're never ever going to take your own fief back. And let's face it, if you are in that situation to begin with, you probably don't want to take it back. You probably want to use everything has a price again to be able to bargain for it once more, once you have taken something else through sheer brute force or through monetary power itself. And that's exactly what I did. You know, that's exactly what I did with the Trader Lord series. And as I've said multiple times now, it is highly recommended if you are interested in trader gameplay at all to take a look at that series, because it really does explain a lot more about the intricacies of trading, and you're going to see a lot more of the exquisite... I don't know, it's probably one of my favorite series to date, just purely for the fact that it is so incredibly concise. It doesn't outstay its welcome by any means. It doesn't go to 200 episodes. It is just pure hilarity and progression, and it's just great. It's just a lot of fun to see these fiefs change hands so extremely fast. And as you can see, it seems like we're getting some frame rate problems. Yeah, it seems like fighting the Botanians actually has a bit of a performance problem with it. I think it has to do with that weird texture that we saw in a previous episode that I called mud golems. I think that's generally the reason why that is, but it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad, to be honest, because I was actually hoping that we might be able to, you know, take this in person instead of having to, you know, do some random stuff. And look at this, as soon as I get outside, it is actually quite smooth. But as soon as I go inside, then it just goes like, ah, you know what, I give up. That's apparently what's going on there. Okay, a bit weird. Bit weird. Someone did actually mention that maybe it's the ragdolls. Maybe it is the ragdolls limit that is causing that problem. But I believe I don't have ragdolls on unlimited anymore. I used to have ragdolls on unlimited, but when I was starting to have those optimization problems, I decided, you know, that I was going to reduce the ragdolls at least a little bit. And I believe that the limit I have is 150 or 50 or something like that. Not entirely sure which one right now, but I decided that, you know, it would probably be a better idea to have smoother gameplay over having a couple more ragdolls shown on the screen. So yeah, that's basically what I ended up doing. However, I'm hopeful that some of my two-handed weapon proficiency will actually level up. And I don't know whether you've noticed, but I haven't actually gained a huge amount of skills like in other playthroughs, which is actually kind of amazing. I think it is literally just due to my experience mod being just so much more, should we say, fair? Well, maybe it's slowing it down just that much that we are receiving a little bit more of a steady experience, a steady gain in comparison to just having Bannerlord tweaks by itself. But otherwise, there you go. We're not going to be taking any prisoners, thank you very much. Even though I technically could, I don't really want to because we are wanting to move on after this. And we do have an army as well ready to go. And we have 495. I'd actually like to take something else if at all possible. As you can see, I actually expanded over here a little bit. I actually took Pendrake Castle and Callias Castle over there. And I was actually hoping that I might be able to maybe take one of these towns. Yeah, it's one of those things, you know. It's one of those things where you kind of go, wait a minute, I've only got, you know, a very small contingent of units, and I'm not entirely sure how effective they're going to be in a full-scale siege against a town, because if I don't destroy the walls, that town is just going to hand me my coat and ask me to leave, basically. That's basically what they're going to do, because it's going to be a very rude awakening indeed. Okay, otherwise, well, we can vote for the leader of this castle. Technically, it could be me. A lot of people are actually saying that I should do it, but I don't particularly want to be honest. I think it would be a little bit too much for me, because I have so many castles as it is, and they're not really providing me a huge amount of monetary gain. And as a result, we're kind of hemorrhaging money right now. So that was the reason why I actually went all the way around to try and gain some much needed cash, because I was actually starting to get so low that we were getting down to about 50,000 in our inventory. And that is just not going to do at all, is it? No, you can't run around with that, because it's just going to be gone in a jiffy, isn't it? Absolutely gone. Alright, so I'm actually trying a little bit of a new strategy here. I'm putting out 3 trebuchets instead of the full 4, and then I'm having the 4th be built while the 3 attempt to eliminate the first siege defenses. And it seems to be working quite nicely, because obviously if you wait until the 4th one is built, it takes a long time to actually start this whole thing up. And then obviously I've said that in the past, where the huge setup to actually destroying the walls is the main disadvantage to doing it, because obviously that's how it's going to be, that's how it's going to be balanced, because otherwise if it was quick, then the enemy would have pretty much no way of defending against it, and it would be frankly indefensible. It would just be impossible to stop an offensive force from destroying your walls if they were able to get all these things up and running super fast. However, I'm trying that new strategy where we're able to get these 3 trebuchets up and running really, really quickly, and then have the 4th one build while the 3 destroy the primary defenses. And hopefully that is actually going to assist in the speed of which we are able to take things. And it seems like it's actually working quite nicely, as you can see right here. Look at this. My trebuchets are absolutely fine. Obviously, this does depend on whether you have ballistas against you or whether it has catapults, because obviously catapults are, in my opinion, a little bit more dangerous to deal with. than ballistas, even though ballistas in previous versions were actually very good, but I think they have been retuned in some way or another, because from my perspective, ballistas used to be fantastic. They used to be in my opinion, the go-to siege defensive weapon, because they had so much DPS, so much accuracy, and were pretty much able to destroy trebuchets very, very fast indeed if they all focused the same target, or generally by themselves even, they were able to do a pretty decent amount. However, now trebuchets seem to be overwhelmingly strong, and I don't know whether that's intended, because trebuchets take about the same time, maybe just a little bit longer of course, as catapults to be built. Or should we say onagers, because they're called onagers on the offensive side, but that's what I'm saying. It just seems to me like trebuchets are very, very strong, overwhelmingly so, and as a result, most offensive sieges that lead off with trebuchets, even just having one or maybe even two, and going with that, if you're not up against an entire battery of catapults, then you're going to be probably pretty fine. You'll probably be okay. You know, if it's ballistas, then you'll be fine. If it's catapults, then you probably need 3 or more to be able to deal with them. As I have said before, catapults, in my opinion, are much better in this version of the game compared to what they were before. So there's obviously a little bit of retuning to be done for the developers, still ongoing. Obviously, it's an ongoing process considering we are still in early access. And hopefully people understand that, actually. It seems like a lot of people on the blog post, at least, don't seem to understand that early access is indeed early access. I mean, yes, okay, you know, it's a relatively large studio at this point, but you've got to remember that it's still in development. You know, it's still having people provide all kinds of feedback, suggestions, bug reports, and so on. And they're working their hardest to get the game to be in the best possible state it can be. And if you're passionate about the game like I am, and passionate about the modding community and supporting them and making sure that the game is, you know, progressing the way that you'd like to see it progress, then I think that that's all that we can really do. We just got to support it and just be patient with it, because game development takes a long time. You know, let's just look at, what is it now, GTA 5. GTA 5 is still going. There's that whole thing going around, isn't it? It's just like, are they bringing it out for the next generation of consoles now? Because I think I saw something about that. Saw some information about how 3 GTA games came out on the was it the PlayStation 2? Was it the PlayStation 2 or was it the PlayStation 3? I actually can't remember now, but whatever the case, 3 GTA games came out on that particular generation of consoles, and this generation we get GTA 5, and well, the next generation seems to be getting GTA 5 as well, which is perfectly fine because GTA 5 is a great game, but yeah, I'm just saying that game development takes a long time, and we've got to remember that. We've got to give them the time that they need, especially considering we don't know what their circumstances are. You know, it could be that they have some difficulties internally. And I'm not even just talking about Tailworlds here. I'm talking about every single developer in the world. We've got to remember that they're actually people, you know, they're actually human beings, and they are not just machines that will work 24 hours a day, you know. But, oh, hello, what are you doing? No. Yes, you're running away. That's exactly what you're doing. Thank you very much. Okay, so I actually wanted to claim Sionon for myself. I'm actually hoping that they will allow me to vote on this. Wait a minute. Did I already vote on this, and did I already give it to someone else? I'm actually not sure. No, there we go. Okay, now I can maybe get it for myself. Okay, so Vidar actually wants this, but I am actually going to vie for it here. There we go, we get it. Nice. Just about, by the way, just about. Look at that, 44% to 33. And there you go. Okay, so we have that as well. So this is really, really nice. The main reason why I wanted to do this is because this is a wonderful launching pad to the remaining areas in the Batanian territory. You can see that right here. By the way, this icon right here, that's a bug. There's a bug. I have checked. There are no sieges going on at Callias Castle, and I have continued to check, and there's nothing going on. So I think I just need to reload the game or something like that for it to be updated properly. But otherwise, that is probably going to be it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, then please give it a like. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.